Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more.
We're live. I don't know how many fucking episodes. I lose track at this point, which is a good thing, right? It's always a good thing when I'm not like, oh, episode 3. You know, there's some credibility to that. But this is the Drink O'Clock Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Valincius, and fuck, damn it, I always forget to ask about the last name. I have the pleasure of having with me Anand. Let me say it. I think I can do it. Mahalingam.
So it's Anand Mahalingam.
Fuck, damn it, shit. So close. And do you have a nickname, Anand?
Anan is so like that's actually my full first name is Anan Chunker. So Anan is the shortened version of that. I don't really have a nickname. People have tried and failed in the past. I think like one of my best friends, he calls me A-Town. So that's like pretty much it. That's like the.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. So, and my last name's Valincius. So I've had everything from Valincius, my friends sometimes would call me. My dad was V-Man. So like, you know, cause you never fucking say the last name. But anyway, you are an Indian American actor and comedian, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah, man. So you got a pretty cool backstory, and you got a lot going on. So I love to start the podcast with the kind of your background and journey. So if you could tell me and the listeners, like, you know, give me kind of a shortened version of, you know, what got you to where you are now.
Sure. So when I was growing up, I guess like it kind of starts with, because right now I'm a comedian and actor, and like everybody asks like how you got started in comedy and stuff, and it's very innocuous things. Like I think what really got me started in comedy was just being like a clown for my family members and like getting my mom to laugh and like making jokes and getting her to laugh. And then when we were kids, she would let me stay up until like I want to say like midnight every day, because like every day she would watch The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, like without fail at 11:30. And she let me stay up for the monologue part and that's it. And then like if jaywalking was on, then I could watch jaywalking or something. But it was like monologue in the desk bit. And then once the guests start coming on the show, then I have to go to bed. So we got to watch just joke after joke after joke for pretty much years together, which definitely like made me see the impact and the value and making people laugh and stuff. So that's kind of where it started. And then like it would go from like the Tonight Show to the Late Show with David Letterman, and then SNL reruns in the summer. Like I wouldn't like go out and play outside with my brother and the friends in the neighborhood. I would like stay inside and watch SNL reruns at like 3 p.m. And then that would go until 5, and then 5 o'clock Mad TV rerun started. So I'd watch
me some good old fashioned Mad TV. Man.
Yeah, man.
With Stewart. Stewart was so good. Loved Stewart.
And then I would watch like I look forward to the Oscars every year, not for the movie stuff, but just to see which comedian was hosting it. And I would just watch the monologue, and that would be it. So I was like really interested in that part. And then when I was in college, I was not really a great student. Like after 10th grade of high school, I really just was not a good student. I just didn't try that much. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But when I was in college, we would have these like cultural shows. Being Indian, I was on a dance team, and like there would be all these dance teams that would come together and put on a show for other students and parents that were in the area. And they had like auditions for MC of the show like one year. And I went in, and I'm the only person that I know of during that time that would actually like write down like sketches and material and like perform it and stuff. Whereas everybody else would just like get up and just announce the acts and like do a shitty little Indian accent, and that would be the end of it. Yeah. But like But I actually like wrote down sketches and bits and stuff that I would like rope my friends into doing with me, and then get up there. And then so there was like a time period in college where I like 2 year time period where I hosted like every show on campus, doing that, just like writing my own sketches, my own material. And then it came time to, I think it was my junior year of college. We were running our own dance competition on campus, and I was in charge of one department, but we really needed to get people in the seats for the show. So I torrented Adobe Premiere and After Effects illegally, and I taught myself through YouTube how to use both of those things, and I created.
Beautiful thing.
Yep,
Beautiful thing.
the internet, baby.
I'm
And
self-taught as well.
exactly, right? It used to be such a stanky thing to say that you're self-taught, but now it's like everybody is self-taught.
Everybody, dude. And with the internet, there's no excuse
Exactly.
for you to not be able to fucking do shit on your own now, because YouTube has a video for everything.
Yeah.
I installed a garbage disposal myself, and I'm a tech guy. I could build a computer, but when it comes to the manly shit, I normally pay somebody. But I'm like, nah, fuck that, man. I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
I did it, and it still works.
And people are like my girl she asked me, she's like, you Google everything, don't you? I was like, yeah. I mean, like everything is available. If you have a question about anything, why are you asking? Like my roommate will ask me questions of like what to do with this and what to do with that, and I'll be like, Google it, dude. Like I don't know, you don't know, just fucking Google it. You find the answer. So I made all these videos, like promotional videos, marketing videos, and again, like comedy sketches and stuff. But like really learning the editing side of it, I got really interested in filmmaking. And then I was like looking up a editing tutorial one day, and I saw like YouTube suggested, I saw like a bunch of videos about the whole filmmaking process, like going like editing is post-production, and then like I saw a bunch of videos about production, pre-production, development, screenwriting. So I kind of learned backwards the whole process of filmmaking, and I really just fell in love with that. And so I was, it was summer of, I want to say 2011 or 2012. And it was time for me to sign up for classes at the University of Pittsburgh again, and I did not. I was like on Facebook, and I saw this ad for this film school in Florida. And I wasn't Full Sail, but it was Full Sail's like shit. I like to say it's Full Sail's shittier cousin.
Yeah.
And I signed up. I just like clicked the link and I signed up on a whim, like secretly signed up. I had a friend of mine write my recommendation letter for me. And then my mom came downstairs one day and she's like, I got an email from your school saying you didn't sign up for classes. What's going on with that? I was like, yeah, I'm not going back to school. So she was like, excuse me, can I see you in my office upstairs? And she reamed me pretty good. But to her credit, she like within a month and a half, we were down in Orlando looking at apartments, and I was like enrolled in the school within a month. So then that school, like there was a lot of like self-teaching that I had to do. It was 4 hours a day for like 3 days a week or something for 8 months, which is just not enough time to learn like anything substantial, really. So it was a lot of self-teaching. Like I would come home from class and I would get back on the computer, go on YouTube and learn a whole bunch more, and just keep learning. I wrote my first screenplay there. And then I came back to Pittsburgh after 9 months down in Orlando. I started my own like videography, video editing business for small businesses here in Pittsburgh. And then I met this dude who eventually became my mentor for a little bit, but he lived in LA. We were writing partners for a little bit. He read my stuff and he really enjoyed it. That was the first time I knew somebody in the industry that really gave me like positive feedback. Everybody up until that point was just friends of mine who knew they were never going to go into Hollywood kind of thing. So yeah. I got that validation from that dude, and he was like, you should move out here. You can live with me for a little bit. So I ended up moving out there, slept on his couch for 4 months, and then he ended up not so great. But I slept on his couch for 4 months. He had to kick me out because turns out he didn't own the apartment that I was sleeping in. Somebody else owned it, and they didn't know that I lived there. They were just like, they were in San Francisco. They left LA to go to San Francisco and work in tech. And then I came home from work one day and always took a nap on the couch and after work before going out and doing open mics and stuff. And I was having my post-work nap, and then all of a sudden this guy shakes me awake and he's like, "Hey, you gotta go, you gotta get out of here." And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, that the dude that owns this apartment, it quit his job in San Francisco and he's driving down to LA today and he'll be here in an hour. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So then I get kicked out. I go stay with a friend of mine, and then I ended up staying with that friend for 4 months. From there, I moved into an apartment across the street from work, which was a studio apartment that was shared by 5 or 6 guys.
Jesus.
And yeah, it was crazy. Like the landlord, like the guy whose name was on the lease, he put all these futons around the room and then curtains. And then our closet was a cardboard box underneath the bed. And
Jesus Christ, dude.
And rent was still
living the dream right there, baby.
No, rent was $600 for that. That's crazy.
Dude, New York and LA, man, they're not the places that you want to live if you're trying to survive.
Yes. Even past survival stage, it's really hard. But and then I lived with my friend, my childhood friend had just moved to LA. He was staying him and another friend of ours were staying in a one room in a big house. And then I moved in with them and I split a pull-out couch with my now best friend. Well, we kind of had to become best friends after that. It was like we split a pull-out couch for 4 months. And I remember the first day that I went there to sleep. I usually sleep with my shirt off. And like I'm getting ready to go to bed and I take my shirt off and I like put the blanket over and he was like, "Put your goddamn shirt back on."
It's like, come on, man. This is already as bad as it is.
And then
that's funny.
Yeah.
I do the same thing, dude. I used to be able to I used to wear beaters. And that's what I slept in for the longest time. And then for some reason it just started to like annoy me because if it bunches or if it pulls, like I move a lot in my sleep, you just get uncomfortable. So I'm like, nah, fuck that, man. Shirt off. That's how I'm sleeping. Don't give a shit. And I sleep so much better without the shirt on.
Yes. And like LA's hot. It was the summertime. So I was like, come on, man. Like we can't, there's no great air conditioning here. And then the other guy slept on a air mattress that had a hole in it. So he would like inflate it in the morning and he would fall asleep on the air mattress. And then or inflate it at night. And then by the morning he would wake up on the ground because the thing had fully deflated.
Been there.
Right. Less than ideal. And then we're like that for 4 months. And then while I was like, I got a job. Like when I moved there, I had no job. I had no job prospects. I went there. The guy that I was staying with at first, he didn't have internet in his apartment and didn't have great like cell reception or whatever. So I would just drive to the Starbucks and apply to jobs every day, every morning. And I think within my first 2 weeks, I got like 9 interviews. And then that was back when finding a job was much easier. And then I got 2 jobs. One was an unpaid internship. The other one was like a minimum wage kind of a thing. So I was making like $400 a week. And then from there, got an apartment. And then I think it took like 11 months from the time that I moved out to LA to get my own apartment where my name was on the lease and like have a bed that I like could call my own kind of a thing. And then from there it's been like a steady climb up, just like booking gigs, stand up, acting, whatever works.
So you're out in LA now.
Actually, right now I am back home in Pittsburgh. I came back yesterday. Okay. I've been in LA for 10 years now, or 10 years in August. It'll be 10 years. But I this year has just been really, really hectic and crazy. So I was like, I need to come home for like at least a month to kind of just like settle down and stuff. So, but yeah.
Fellow Northeasterner, man. I'm out of Philly.
Oh, nice. Okay. We're supposed to hate each other, but respect.
Yeah. Honestly, dude, I don't know. Like for me, I have never hated Pittsburgh. I think the only, like, I'm a big sports guy, so the only Pittsburgh team I've ever hated was the Penguins. And I'm not even a big hockey fan.
Yeah, I'm not a
honestly.
big hockey fan either. I don't because and it doesn't really make sense. I mean, like the Phillies and the Pirates don't really have any sort of rivalry. The Eagles and the Steelers don't really have any kind of rivalry.
Zero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's just an interstate thing. And then, but the
Yeah.
thing is, like, I was like kind of brought up to hate Philly and all things Philly sports and whatnot. And then when I grew up, like when I went to college, I like went to college with a bunch of people that are from Philly, and so we would go to Philly a bunch to just see them and like hang out with them after college. And I was like, this place is awesome. Like Philly's a great fucking town, great city. And now I one of my roommates in LA, he doesn't live in LA anymore. He's back in Philly. He's the only reason why I dislike the Eagles is, and that's only to poke fun at him. Like I do
Oh
respect
yeah.
the Eagles and all that stuff, but my roommate, fuck that guy.
Look, we're a passionate city, especially
Yeah.
like the Eagles obviously are our baby, and that's football's my number one sport. So, the
And
easiest way to poke a bear is to just talk shit on the Eagles, and
yeah,
then you're gonna get some red faces from people
100%.
who get
And
angry.
yeah, and my former roommate, I love him to death, but like it is the most fun thing in the world to shit on him for anything that happens to the Eagles. But when the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, I was definitely rooting for them over the Chiefs. So
Ugh. And you know what, man? I never thought I'd see another Super Bowl. To be honest with you, I thought we weren't going back, and then when we were in, I was scared for. I was still scared up until like almost the end of the third quarter, and we were whooping their ass. But
yeah,
like you can never count out Patrick Mahomes, but they just couldn't do anything. And then I let myself. It was like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter when they poured the Gatorade. I allowed myself to know that we won at that point.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Honestly,
but it was scary.
yeah, because like I mean, we all saw 28-3 with Tom Brady and stuff. And then, I mean, like conspiracy theories abound about how much the NFL wants to support Patrick Mahomes and stuff. So it's like, there's no way. I honestly don't even think they should have been in the Super Bowl. I think they got a bunch of calls that helped them out a lot. And that, like, the NFL kind of engineered a three-peat narrative for them. Because I thought, like, I wanted Buffalo to be in there. I wanted somebody else but the Chiefs to be in there. So
Yeah, I think everyone did, and no one wanted us to be there either. I mean, no offense. I know that no one really likes us. Like, I get that, and like, but like, it's a couple of bad eggs, dude. You get a couple batteries thrown at Santa,
yeah,
and shit like that, and like that's all people bring up. It's like, look, it's not really like that. I would say though, if you're going to, this is my advice to people listening to the podcast, my listeners, if you're going to go to an Eagles game and you are an opposing fan, just don't wear the jersey of your team. I know that doesn't make sense, but if you don't do it, no one's going to say a fucking word to you.
yeah. And I think I mean, honestly, I think most fan bases are like that. Like Philly just kind of ratchets it up to a different level, but like that just shows that they care. Because like living in LA, if you go to a Dodgers game and you're like a fan of like any like if you show up in Giants gear, then they'll give you shit. But if you show up with any other team's colors, like they don't care enough to kind of like unless you're up in the nosebleeds with a bunch of drunk ass people, they don't care
Yeah.
enough to make your life hell. If you're wearing the other thing, but like everywhere else, almost like I know if you're a Steelers fan or if you go to a Steelers game wearing Ravens gear, like
Ooh.
what do you think is going to happen, man? Like what do you expect?
And that's the thing with LA. I feel like LA just doesn't really give a shit about sports a whole lot. Like I feel unless it's the Lakers, I feel is that fair to say? I feel like the Lakers are like that, like because they're like a basketball town.
Yeah,
But like, I mean, when the Dodgers won, like it's I feel like the parade was like you come. The parade here was ridiculous. We
yeah,
didn't even go into the city. Like I live in Northeast, so I'm like 25 minutes from Center City. We went the opposite way. Like I took off from work for the parade, and me and the wifey went to Parks Casino, which is like the nicest casino in the Philly area. And we went to Chicky and Pete's, which I don't know if you've ever been to Chicky and Pete's. Do you like crab fries?
not particularly. No, last time I had crabs, I got sick.
Well, they're fries with the Old Bay seasoning.
Ooh, okay.
and they have it's like liquid melted American cheese. Their fries are legit. So if the next time you're in Philly and you're down for some fries, Chicky and Pete's has some banging fries, but that's really all they got. Everything else, all their other food kind of sucks. But we went to Chicky and Pete's in the casino. We got a spot at the bar at like 10:30 in the morning. Started drinking, and we just watched the whole fucking parade. And eventually, the whole place was packed. We got to sit like I did the parade in 2017. And it was the craziest experience of my life just because you're not used to seeing Center City shut down and people are fucking pissing themselves. And there was no fights. I didn't see a single fight. There's just a lot of pee, man. There was a ton of pee. Like dudes just fucking pissing wherever. The bathroom lines, like for the porta potties, were like 20 people deep. Like it was... That part of it was not good. I had a backpack full of vodka. Like, I came prepared. And I honestly barely drank it because it was just so, like, you just had to, like, keep your eye out. Like, I was waiting for someone to, like, break out a gun, but none of that happened.
Yeah. And, like, I think, like, for LA, the sports culture is there. There is a pretty intense sports culture, but I think it's happening in a lot of sports, too, where they're kind of pricing out their real fans, like, tickets are just like too expensive to do anything. Like Dodgers tickets are pretty manageable, depending on like who the opponent is and all that stuff. But even now, like when I first moved to LA, the Dodgers were not good, or at least they weren't competing. So like you could get tickets. I got tickets there for like $15, that were like pretty nice, and like people don't go as much, but now, I mean, it's $100 minimum and stuff for tickets, but so they do price out their most diehard fans because there's like Dodgers fans, especially East LA, like the Latino element in terms of the fandom in LA is like the most intense. I think the minority communities are the ones that care about sports the most in LA. They just like, but they're overshadowed by these celebrities and like upper elite people that come to a game for the clout, and they want to like show that they're at the game, and then they leave as soon as it becomes like convenient for them to leave. So they're never there until the end of the game. They're never there until like they'll leave. They'll come to the basketball game for a photo op and then leave in the third quarter or something. So I think that's overshadowed it, but like the Dodgers have a pretty intense following. The Lakers, of course. The Clippers do not. Fuck the Clippers. I was like,
they're a shit show, bro.
Yeah, I was like, somebody asked if I wanted to go. My friend's a Nuggets fan, and she asked if I wanted to go to the Nuggets game at the Intuit Dome against the Clippers. And I was like, I do kind of want to check out the Clippers' new arena, the Intuit Dome, but I don't want to go to a Clippers game. Like, I'll go if the Lakers are going to play the Clippers or whatever, but there's no way I'm going to go support the Clippers. And then what else? The Rams have a big following now. It's definitely gone up since they've been back. The Chargers, like, barely register at all. And then there's still some Raiders fans in town. So the sports
That's
fandom,
rough.
Yeah, the sports fandom is there. It's just like so spread out now because really it's just like so expensive to go to these things. So
it's so expensive to fucking do shit anymore. I can't fucking step outside without spending money,
I say this about LA. It's like I love LA so much. I've come to love it after like 10 years. It took me a while. Took me a couple years, but it's like if you leave the house, you're spending $100, like easy. It's so
easy.
Yeah.
The last time we were there was like 2017, or maybe it was earlier than that. Maybe it was like 2015. I don't remember the last time we were there, but I had tore my ACL. I think it was like 2016, 2017. I had a torn ACL. I hadn't had the surgery yet, and the wifey wanted to go. We did what's the name of that place, babe? Runyon Canyon.
Yeah.
So I went up Runyon Canyon I just had a sleeve on, and I fucking did it with a torn ACL, like just hobbling up Runyon Canyon. I definitely fell twice, but I don't think I did any more damage, but I eventually got it repaired. Knees normal now.
What was the status of your ACL after doing the hike? Did it get did it feel like it got worse, or did it no? because Runyon's not like too bad, but there's parts where it's pretty steep.
I think the main place I fell was like towards the top where they have those like janky like stair. They're like man-made stairs almost.
Yeah,
Definitely fell there. That was I think the other, because you can't like with a torn ACL, it's like it was just like basically in one position. Like you can't really do much with your knee. You know what I mean? And I said, fuck it, I'll do it. You know.
Yeah, pushing off and like elevation and stuff must be And those stairs are just like they drop like a wooden plank and nail it to the ground, and then they move up a little bit and do the same thing. It's not like a very man-made situation up there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not safe. So if you have a leg issue, I'd recommend waiting it out before you do it. But we had already planned the trip, so it was kind of is what it is.
Yeah, you know? If you have a leg issue, you could actually drive up to the top of Runyon Canyon the opposite way and just do that. And
just hang out up there. And
hang out and then drive back down. It's okay.
So that's pretty ballsy, man. So you did the I guess the thing that everyone says that they're gonna do and say, fuck it, I'm just gonna move to LA.
Yeah.
What kept you going in those early days? Like, you know, like what fueled you? Because obviously you had no connections, you know, outside of the one guy that, you know, was kind of a shady guy, right? So what kept you going there in the early days?
I just really felt like it was the first time in my life that I felt like I knew what I wanted to do. So I kind of just had to explore it. And then it's also like, it was such a big risk. And my mom wrote me a letter when I left. She wrote me a letter and she just like stuffed it in my backpack for me to find later. And so like I was sitting at the gate and I'm reading. Smooth move. I'm sitting at this gate reading this letter from my mom, and she's like, if this doesn't work out, you have to move back home and do everything I say. You have to finish your degree, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. And it's like, well, I definitely don't want to do any of that shit. So but so it was like I have to prove it to myself that I can do it, and then prove it to other people that I can do it. And then I think for me it was pretty like early on where I got this feeling of like I can do this. I'm not like totally like sometimes there's a ton of people that move out to LA that really shouldn't move out to LA. They're like totally like should be a big fish in a small pond, or like should wait it out a little bit longer or whatever. But I had the good fortune of like that guy, he was like very complimentary of my writing skills and stuff like that. So that was good. And then like so that was like an industry person telling me that. And then pretty early on I was like I went to an open mic early on in my days, and then one of my first or second kind of open mics somebody kind of was like, hey, that was really funny, let me book you on my show. So it's like, oh wow, like this is how quickly this stuff kind of moves and how quickly this stuff happens. So, and then like there was this one, I audited a couple of acting classes. I actually didn't move out there to be a performer at all. Like I wanted to write and direct movies, and I still do, but I kind of like fell into the whole acting thing because I would MC these shows in college, and when I moved to LA, I was like, keep the performance aspect alive. Like I want to like still be performing. Like I like performing. I don't know if anything's gonna happen with it or whatnot. I also had like a lot of self-confidence issues with like, you know, the way I look and stuff. I was like, I don't think like anybody's gonna want to see me in front of a camera. So I just like audited a couple acting classes for free. And the first class that I audited was this woman, this sweet little woman up in the valley. She she teaches this class in her living room, and I go there, and she's like talking about how she studied improv or acting or something in San Francisco with Robin Williams. And Robin Williams is like my number one guy. Like he is the like North Star of North Stars for me. He's my favorite person that's ever been there. Somebody I definitely still look up to this day, both with comedy and acting. And I was like, bullshit. You don't know Robin Williams. And she was like, okay. And then she goes into her room and she brings out the rainbow suspenders from Mork and Mindy. And she's like, Robin gave me these like 30 years ago. And I was like, holy shit. And then we did a scene, and she like pulled me aside at the end of the scene, or at the end of the class or whatever, and she told me, she's like, I see some Robin Williams in you. And I was like, that's okay, like that's like enough, like that's
Well,
not,
I'm in.
I don't need anything else. Like this whole thing might not be so crazy if like I'm getting notes like that in my very first acting class I've ever taken in my life. So I think there was just like small little victories that happened at the same time that I was just like, okay, there's something here. I can do this. So I owe it to myself to keep like just see this through until the end, until somebody really just stops me and says, no, you cannot do this. You're not like this is where you stop. This is the level at which you stop at. And yeah, and also it was just like the most fun I've ever had, like the most fulfilling, most fun thing that's like I've ever done in my life. It's just like, I honestly still wish that I could go back and get that mindset that I had my first year or so living in LA, where I was just grinding, going to open mics. I would go to networking events. I would just like barely spend any time at home because my home sucked at the time, but
your couch,
couch with
and
no
then
Wi-Fi.
and then your bed with another man. So how do you think your experience MCing influenced like your stand-up, acting, writing, that type of thing?
I think there's a very clear thing of like I think all good comics will say like there's so many comics that are like writing the jokes that they want to say and they want to do, and if the audience doesn't get it, then fuck them, like what I say goes kind of thing. But really with MCing and everything, it's just like the best MCs, it's not about them. Like it's not like, even when you're hosting like something like the Oscars, like yeah, you want to make sure all you're there to do is make sure people are comfortable and make sure people are entertained and they laugh, but it's really not about you, which I think applies to everything. Like with comedy, it's like it's not about you. Your job is, the audience is your boss when you're a stand-up comic. Your job is to make them laugh. And if you don't make them laugh, you can't just be like, the crowd was really bad, like I'm sure it'll be fine tomorrow or whatever. It's like, no, man, you did something. There's something, it's not 100% on them. You did something that was wrong probably, and you have to go and fix it. And then with acting too, I think like with acting, more than anything, that's like, actors feel so self-important. It took me forever to consider myself a real actor because I started out doing stand-up for like first 5 or 6 years, and then really only over the past like 5 years have I been acting and like pushing into acting, because I think actors are insufferable people. I think they're so goddamn annoying because it's so self-important what they like, how a lot of them feel. And it's not all of them, but it's like enough of them where I'm just like, there are so many other factors with like how to make a movie do well. Like there's so many other people that go into it, and actors get so much of the publicity and they get so much of the money and all that stuff. But like a movie cannot be made without everybody's involvement on that movie. And I think MCing is kind of learning that, is like, okay, like there's the people that put on the show and then they give you the mic, and your job is to just get out of the way, get all the acts announced in time, and then end the show on time. That is your job. Or like make their lives as easy as possible so we can finish the show on time and get everybody going. And so it really kind of just like allows you to see everybody else that's involved in the production and the operation and stuff, and kind of give them the respect that they deserve. So
yeah, and I imagine too, you said you were writing bits and stuff too, so I'd imagine it kind of also fueled that creativity side of it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it was that like was some of the most fun stuff. And it's like yeah, you don't want to attract too much attention to yourself, but that doesn't mean you got to just go up there and just say the name of every act and then move on. Like there's still like little things that you can kind of add in. And now I'm at a point where improv wise I'm a lot better, so I can like add in a little quip or something in between the acts to get a couple laughs in between or whatever. But like, yeah, writing all that stuff down, it really, I mean, like stand-up wise got me so comfortable. Like just in college, I would like do crowds where do bigger crowds than I've ever done as a stand-up comedian. Where like we did a dance competition. There was like 600 people in the audience, and like I was like
Damn.
22 years old, 23 years old. So like now I'm 34, and I'm talking to people, and I'm like, yeah, I've been in much bigger crowds than this. So like nothing really phases me on the public speaking side now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never spoke in front of 600 people, but I get that. Like when I in what I do, I work in insurance, so like, you know, there was times where I was speaking in front of, you know, 5 or 10 people, but then I've had audiences of 100 people, and but you know what and I'm sure you can attest to this. There's something about the fuel from an audience as well. When you're the presenter, when you're up there, when you're talking, like my energy, I absorb the audience's energy. So if they have fucking shitty energy,
Yeah.
or people are like, you know, nodding off because it's 9 a.m., they didn't have coffee or whatever, it fucks you up.
Right. And it does. But then there's also like, you know, there's like, I learned this from it was like my first or second year out in LA. I was doing stand up and I did this show where there was literally 2 people in the audience. It was like at a WeWork. It was like in the lobby of a WeWork thing. And there's 2 people. We set up like 30 chairs. Only 2 people showed up. And I go up there, I do the bit that I came there to do or whatever. And it barely gets any laughs because there's only 2 fucking people in the audience. And then, so I think I bombed. And then my friend who's headlining, he gets up there and he just like threw away his entire set. And he just spoke to those 2 people in the audience. And he like, just like would joke around with them. And they laughed at everything that he did. And it's because he like it, like you kind of like as the speaker and as the comedian or whatever, you have to meet the audience where they are and kind of make sure like it's on you to a little bit to get their energy up and to make them attentive, because they don't owe you, like as a comic, they don't owe you their attention. They paid for the ticket. You're supposed to make them laugh. So it's like you feed off the energy of the crowd, but you also have to be the one to like infuse energy into the crowd, inject energy into the crowd as well.
Yeah, and obviously too, you have an interesting background being Indian American, right? So, I mean, I'm sure some people are waiting for the standard jokes of curry, arranged marriage, all that other bullshit, right? And that's got to annoy you a little bit because I'm sure you wanna talk about normal shit.
Yeah,
but like, you know, there's a stigmatism with that, right? With an Indian comedian.
Yeah, and
Gotta be.
Yeah, I think there's also like my first couple of years, I did all those. I like had a couple of like stereotypical jokes because that's kind of what was expected and that would hit and stuff. But then eventually, I think eventually your voice grows. But even now, like it's funny too because even Indian people are like expecting you to do Indian ass shit on stage. Like, no, can I talk about other stuff to you guys at least? So
Yeah.
but
They
yeah,
should be the ones that understand where you're coming from.
right? Yeah, that's what I would think. That's what you would think. But so I think there's a lot of, and I think people, because of the nature of my name, even like my name is so hard to like, so long, so hard to pronounce, and so like every MC gets it wrong whenever I go up on stage. So I have a whole bit, like standard bit about my name because like the first 30 seconds I have to like kind of acknowledge, thank you for giving me the mic, but also you said my name wrong, even though we like discussed it right before.
We rehearsed this, you know.
So, so there's stuff like that, but yeah, now I think it takes everybody kind of a while to like branch out from what they're used to. I think most comics start out doing jokes that they're very familiar with, like culturally and stuff like that. And once they kind of get a little bit of confidence from doing like jokes like that, then they can kind of branch out and do stuff that they care about a little bit more.
What do you say your style of stand up is like? I know you said, you know, Robin Williams was like your big
yeah. I mean, he's like you can't imitate that. So it's like his stand-up was just like so off the wall, and I'm obviously influenced by cocaine as well. But
a lot of drugs back in the 80s and 90s. A lot of drugs.
I watched this one video recently where this like movie exec was Anderson Cooper was interviewing this movie exec Barry Diller about. He was like, "What was the most coked up set you've ever been to in your life?" And he said, "Hook," with where Robin Williams was. What? Or no, did he say Hook? I think he said Popeye. He said Popeye was the most coked up set that he was ever on because everybody on that set was super super coked up.
That is wild.
Um,
Not surprising, but
yeah.
wild.
I think if you have to make a Popeye movie, you got to be under the influence of something. you know?
Well, so was I? Hold on. Don't they have a new one and it's Will Smith, or was I like? Yeah, there was a trailer in 24, so maybe it was. Okay, all right, so it was a fake. Someone
Mhm.
did like a fake movie thing in 24, and they were gonna have Will Smith as Popeye.
Oh wow.
I thought it was real. It looked legit. Google it. It's on YouTube. It looks
Okay.
super legit. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, when you think of Popeye, I mean, I don't know. Will Smith doesn't necessarily come directly into mind. But
Mm-mm.
then again, I mean, well, not anybody can play everybody these days. But there's been
Yeah.
definitely some, like, I don't know if I should feel bad or not, but what happened with the chick from Snow White? Whoo! She
Yeah.
lost Disney at least 250 mil. At
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of
There's a time for activism, and there's also a time for, like, you know,
selling
you're probably not gonna get another, like, really good acting gig ever again.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like and then like Gal Gadot is her co-star on that too. So like I think
Yeah, that also didn't help.
yeah
That also didn't help.
I think I appreciate her standing up and saying stuff and like
Yeah.
stand on your beliefs and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, there's a time and place. There's maybe not like literally before the movie comes out or like on opening weekend. Like that
Yeah,
probably
maybe
would
give it 6 months.
yeah,
That make a comment.
have,
Like,
have
let
a
them make their money.
yeah have a
you know.
strong opening weekend because that ensures that she gets money too, that she can live off. But yeah, no, I think going back stand up inspirations. I mean, my number one, the reason why I started doing stand up was Louis C.K. That was
Fucking love
yeah,
Louis
it was
C.K.
it was like I was in college and I had like one of my childhood friends, my brother and I shared an apartment with a friend, and then our childhood friend or family friend was like a couple floors down from us, and my brother would always go down there to play like video games and stuff together. And then one time I went down with them to just hang out. I was hanging out while they were playing video games, and they had like one TV with the video games, and then one TV was just playing stand up comedy, and it was Louis, and I was just like, what is this? And my friend was like, that's Louis C.K. He's a comedian. And I was just like listening to it, dying laughing. And I was like, I cannot believe I knew. It's like, it was like kind of a come to Jesus moment where that every comic has, where they watch their first comic that inspired them. And then they all say the same thing. It's like, I didn't know you could get paid to talk like this. I didn't know, like, I was like, we talk like this as friends, like all the time. Not the like really bad stuff. Some of that stuff
Yeah.
has not aged very well. But
No.
that was not,
Especially jerking off on people
yeah,
also has not aged very well.
yeah.
But
I
he
watched,
seems to come out on the other side of that.
I mean, like he definitely doesn't have the pull that he has, but I mean, like, the thing that should happen with like when people say like cancel culture and all that stuff, I think Louis is a good example where he's not getting Netflix specials anymore. He's not like controlling he's not in the public eye. He's not like a part of the social societal dialogue or anything like that. He's self-producing his shit. He's putting it up on his website. People are like, he's promoting it on his website. People are still showing up. And I think that's like the whole thing is like, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I also don't even know if he should really be in the public eye like he used to be, given everything that happened. So I think it's fine. He's still making millions of dollars, and he's just doing it off on his own. It's fine.
And you make more money that way too, dude. There's no middleman. He's putting it all on his own website. You're not sharing any profits with Netflix or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably lose market share to a certain degree, but
Yeah.
dude, I'll tell you, his two favorite bits, two of my all-time top 5 favorite bits are from Louis C.K. One of them is him talking about getting a dog. and he's saying like, yeah, you get that dog, you're basically setting yourself up for heartbreak.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
goes into this whole bit about when the dog dies, and he's like, you should just do something at that point in your life, but in 10 years, then you're gonna be crying and upset. Like that bit was good, but it's probably one of my all-time favorite comedy bits was him talking about his first memory, and it was him shitting his pants on the porch. And he's like, the shit was so big that it booted his memory like into like it was like a computer booting up, and that was the first thing he remembered. And I was like, he's like, I'm just saying, shit's running down my leg. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And that's like one of my all time favorite bits because it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
He still has stuff like, I mean, like the stuff that really grabbed me from the beginning was never really any of the sexual stuff. It was like he has this one bit about he did this bit about he's like people they're like talking about the environment, and he's like there's people on who are like on the right wing people who are they're Christian, and they have a problem with all the people that are pro environment and all that stuff that like like for whatever reasons. And he's like, which doesn't make sense, because if you're a Christian and you believe that God made this planet for you, why would you not take care of it?
That's so true, though. So true. Dude, it's just, what? I like intelligent comedy. Like, I don't like the beep, bop, boop, bop, 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 doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's why I like Dave Chappelle so much. He's my favorite comedian.
Yeah.
He's got such good bits, and he intertwines stories, and his like intro and outro always just somehow are just fucking perfect. I saw him New Year's in the city. It was New Year's Eve. It was the best comedy show I've ever been to. It was cool. He comes out smoking a fucking blunt, and like he's just sitting there, and he's real with you. And I think you get connected to that, especially being from Philly. That's like our thing, right? Is like authenticity and connecting like on like that level. And
Right.
he just killed it. It was so good.
Yeah, like Chappelle's great. I love Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr is like real like truth to power kind of guy, because I think that's the other thing that I really like about some comics is like I mean I love the silliness of some of them, but then like George Carlin was one where it was like he was so like the speaking truth to power, you know what I mean? And it's like the punch, like he would punch up all the time. And so that's what I really like in comedy is when people like some of the stuff that Chappelle's done recently. I'm like, dude, you're like, you're hitting at people that really just don't like cannot defend themselves, really. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
So there's some of the comics that they get older and then they don't like they like lose sight of what made them so funny in the first place. Like Jamie Foxx was talking about, he was like, I was trying to go out and do stand up. I think he's back doing stand up now, but he's like, he just had a stroke. And he was like,
Yeah.
the stroke is what made me want to go out there and do stand up, because before the stroke, I wanted to go out and do stand up, but I'm rich. I can't talk about anything. Like, there's nothing I can talk about that can make me relatable to people. But now I went through this medical trauma or whatever, and now I'm relatable to people again. And he told the story of, he was like, I saw Eddie Murphy one time, and Eddie Murphy was talking about getting back out there and doing stand-up comedy and stuff like that. And he did some stand-up for Jamie Foxx and friends or whoever was there. And Jamie's like, no, dude, you can't go back out there with this stuff. Like, this is only going to be funny to other people that are multimillionaires. So,
Yeah.
So like,
you got to be relatable. You got to be relatable to a certain degree.
You have to be. I think like that's what made Seinfeld such a big deal. And he's a huge influence on me too. Like more so the show than his stand-up, but it was just like crazy minute things. I think my stand-up comedy style would be like, I like to have those really small observations that Seinfeld has, but then also like storytelling like is kind of like my major thing. Like that's like a Louis, straight from the Louis, like I don't know, Bible or whatever. It was like the way that I tell stories. I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me in my life, so like to tell a story that makes people invested and still laugh and stuff, that's probably those two things. I like to be considered both of those two things.
Yeah, I feel like I would be a storyteller. Like I have a lot of random shit that I feel like I could go off for,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it depends on where you are, right? Your time could be 10 minutes, it could be 20, it could be 30. If you're headlining, it's 45 minutes to an hour, right, or longer. So like, it depends on how much time you have, but I'm sure I could hit a good 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like if I'm telling stories, if I'm just telling random jokes, I don't really know how I'm hitting that. But you've done stand up at the Comedy Store, right? Do you have any like cool stories there? Have you met anybody cool or?
I mean, yeah, like there's not, I didn't really like meet anybody because back when I did the Comedy Store, I was still super, super new. Just got booked on somebody's show at the Comedy Store. But like, like people would drop in. Like there was a time when I was like, I was like the second to last comic on the lineup on a show that started at 10:30. And then
Ooh,
somebody dropped in. I think it was Pete Davidson or somebody dropped in. There was like some roast going on. So like what happens is like the comics will come into the Comedy Store and they'll work out their roast jokes for the audiences there, and they'll be like, just imagine you're at the roast of like Rob Lowe, and like I'm reading these jokes making fun of Rob Lowe. Meanwhile, there might be people in the audience who have no idea who Rob Lowe is. and yeah, and so like Pete Davidson came in halfway through the show and he did a 30-minute set, which pushed all the other comics like further back. So I got up there. Literally, the only people in the audience were one of my friends and then like the other comic that had yet to go, like his friend. So there's like two people at 1:30 in the morning doing stand-up comedy. So, but I mean, I saw Arsenio Hall do a set. He
okay.
dropped in on a show and I have no connection to him at all. I never watched the show. Everybody always said he was fantastic. I never understood it because I never watched it, never saw any of his stand up or anything. And then he came in there and he crushed it. He was like, that's like a difference. Like, even if you think somebody's like washed up and old and washed up and whatnot, they will mop the fucking floor with your ass. Like they are so good. Like the people that have just been through the whole thing of like, because it takes like a certain kind of person to be able to go up there so many times. Like I always say, like the difference between somebody who's just funny and a comedian is somebody who's funny will go up there and do stand up for as long as they can until it goes poorly. And then once it goes poorly, they'll be like, I'm never doing this again. I'm good. But then a comic will go up there and it goes poorly and be like, their first thing is like, what did I do wrong? I have to fix this. Like, I have to fix it. Like, I know there's something funny here. I need to like make it to that point. I need to go up there and do it again. So
Have you had your fair share of bombing or?
Oh yeah. There was one time I did a joke so bad that like it was an open mic. It was the first time my brother ever came to see me do stand up in LA. It was like this combo open mic show kind of thing, and I go up there and I do this one joke, and it bombs so badly that the other comics in the crowd are like, "What? Like, what are you saying about that?" Blah, blah, blah. They're heckling me and all that stuff, and I got so flustered. My brother was like hiding his face and like didn't want anybody to see him. And then I was like, you know what, I'm done. I still have 3 minutes left on the clock. And I was like, you know what, I'm good. I'm going off. And then the comics that were heckling me were like, no, come on, get back on stage, finish your set. And I had to just like quietly like stand up there and just like speed read through the rest of my routine or whatever. And then it was so bad that one of the other comics on the lineup, who's still a good friend of mine now, he came up to me afterwards. He's like, yeah, I know what you were trying to go for with that joke, but you just didn't say it right. So he helped me rewrite it right then and there, and it became a much better joke. But that was like the worst that it's ever gotten.
Oh,
sure. Yeah.
I can feel it, dude. I can feel the anxiety for you.
Yeah.
Just telling this story because I'm like, that's got to be rough. Because comedians are probably they got to be like they're very supportive, but I'm sure they're also the biggest fucking critics of how you tell the jokes.
Yeah, because like it's like this thing of you go to an open mic, it's just like six other comics that are looking at their like the routine that they're going to do on their phone. So they're just like looking down like this. They're not looking up at you. And the only time they look up at you is if there's actually a genuinely funny like joke that you made, or there's like a premise that they're like, ooh, that's a good premise. And then they listen to your joke and they're like, I could do that a lot better than that guy could. So it's
Yeah.
really, yeah, they're not like, it's tough. Like it can be a very supportive community at times, but really only if you're making a certain kind of joke, certain level of joke. It gets very, very clicky. I haven't been doing as much stand up for the past couple of years because I've been getting more into acting. But one of the things is just like open mics are brutal sometimes. And especially now, I think these days in LA, it's more brutal than it was when I first started.
So what's something that you're dying to make? You know, film, show, sketch. You know, anything you haven't had a chance yet. Do you have something that you're working on, or?
Yeah, I would love to, like, so in 2023, we shot a short film that I produced and I'm the lead actor of called Ronnie California, the King of Artesia, which was super fun. We're trying to turn that into a feature film. So it was like a proof of concept. We kind of showed it around to people, got some people that were interested in it, and then kind of just other reasons made the momentum kind of stop on that. But we're writing the script for that right now, and I think that's like the next thing that I want to do is kind of just make a feature length movie, make a 90-minute movie, be a part of one, be like cast in one. Like I've been cast in like bit parts in TV shows and stuff, and but I think I just did. Part of the reason why I was like I'm back home in Pittsburgh to like refresh is I just did for 5 months. I did a play in LA, the first play I've done since high school, which was awesome.
That's cool.
It was a 4.5 hour long play, so
Oh,
all about
that's
like the
rough.
Spartan and Greek and Persian wars and stuff like that. We had Trojans dressed up in the full like red plume, like Leonidas and stuff. So
Love
that
that
was
shit, man.
it
Love that
was
shit.
so sick. It was like it was brutal, and I'm still like picking up the pieces of like what my life was like during that time. But so sick, so cool. So I definitely want to do more plays. But I think the next thing I want to do, I think I have like a ton of like ideas right now. I want to do like a YouTube series about the history of LA, where it's like I'm hosting and I'm doing like a daily show, kind of a out in the field kind of um, uh, I guess interviews and stuff like that. But so like a web series about LA and the history of LA, and then like a talk show kind of podcast kind of thing. But like I think the number one thing, like the whole reason why I moved out to LA is to be a writer and director of feature films. So I definitely want to start laying the groundwork for all this stuff takes years to kind of work on. Like this short film that we made, it's like took a year and a half just to get to the point where we can make it. So if I start now, I've been like workshopping different ideas in my head. So if I get part of the reason why I'm home is to like work on those a little bit more and kind of get those ready to kind of show people that could be interested in helping bring it to life in the next couple of years. But feature film is, I think, the next thing that I want to do.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, look, we're hitting that point, dude. It was fun. Do you want to plug yourself away and let us know, maybe when your YouTube film's gonna be out and all that?
Yeah. Well, as far as the film, we don't know when it's going to go on YouTube yet. But if anybody who's listening is interested in knowing more about it, you can find me on Instagram. Literally, my username is the same on all platforms. It's at Yanandbai, which is Yanandbhai. It's technically, so when I was growing up, people called me Anand, which is like Bai means brother. So it was like, and then one of my friends did a really bad Indian accent once, and he just called me Anand Bai. So that's kind of become my whole online persona for years. But if you follow me there,
That's cool.
yeah, it's great. It's a great demarcation.
Little easier than what you got going on right now. A little easier to find on Instagram for sure.
So true, so true. But yeah, find me on there. Just like DM me. I'll send you a link to the movie, and then you can watch it. And then I'm back in Pittsburgh doing like open mics and shows and stuff. So I'll be back on the stand-up game, stand-up grind coming up. So you can tune in for that stuff too.
Awesome, man. Well, look, it was great having you on. My podcast is Drink Clock Pod on all socials. Drink Clock Podcast, wherever you listen to fucking podcasts. We're there. And this episode will be up in, probably a day or two. And, we'll get this out there, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one,
man.
Stormy night where legends unfold, there's a podcast that's breaking the mold. Raise your voices, raise your glass high. Welcome to the Drink O'Clock Podcast. Let's dive. Oh, grab an old fashioned and join the fray. Raise your spirits, let the music play. From the corner pub to the dance hall floor. Drink O'Clock Podcast, we're ready for more. We're ready for more. With a mix of folklore and rebel cheer, we'll guide you through tales of whiskey and beer. From Irish shores to lands afar, grab your friends, it's time to